Have you ever withdrawn from someone's life without explanation? You may have left silently, ceasing all communication, but have you considered the impact of your absence? Appearances can be deceiving. Even if they outwardly appear unaffected, they may be experiencing a complex range of emotions, often unbeknownst to themselves. Let us examine 10 powerful emotions they'll likely experience following your sudden disappearance. 1. The repercussions of rejection. Rejection shock occurs when an individual unexpectedly experiences the loss of a relationship they previously considered secure. Prior to the loss, they may have been accustomed to the other party's consistent availability, attentiveness, and initiative. The sudden absence of this individual creates a profound psychological impact, resulting in significant shock. The intensity of this shock stems from several factors: the unexpected nature of the departure, leaving the individual feeling helpless and disempowered, the shattered illusion of control, as the belief in managing the relationship or its termination is abruptly broken, and the latent dependence on the other person, highlighting their importance only upon their absence. The dominant emotions experienced during rejection shock include initial disbelief, shock, where the reality of the situation is difficult to process, a wounded ego, stemming from the perceived devaluation of their importance, a profound sense of loss of control over the relationship's trajectory, and a mixture of curiosity and anxiety regarding the reasons for the rejection and the other person's current circumstances. The adage, "You never know what you have until it's gone," perfectly encapsulates this experience. The consistent care and attention previously taken for granted are only fully appreciated upon their disappearance. Behavioral responses to rejection shock vary. Individuals may attempt incessant contact, feign indifference while internally suffering, or seek replacements to fill the void. Though this rarely proves effective, strategies to maximize the impact of rejection shock include a sudden, unannounced departure without warning or explanation, complete cessation of communication across all platforms, and maintaining an air of mystery to fuel curiosity. Focusing on self-improvement, rather than retaliatory actions, ultimately enhances one's personal strength and value. 2. The absence of companionship creates a void. The concept of the void left by absence, upon departure or severing contact. An individual will acutely perceive the absentee's absence. Previously taken for granted, the person's presence now leaves a significant void in their life. This emptiness is not merely physical, the lack of their presence, but also profoundly impacts their mental, emotional, and daily routines. The intensity of this void stems from several factors: disrupted familiarity, accustomed to the other's presence through messages, calls, or meetings. Their absence creates a sense of imbalance and emptiness. Lack of emotional sustenance. If the absent individual provided care, affection, encouragement, or even stimulating arguments, their absence deprives the other of these crucial elements. The forbidden fruit effect, inaccessibility, often increases perceived value. Previously taken for granted, the absent person now becomes a desired object of longing. Disrupted routines. Small, habitual actions, morning texts, evening conversations, spontaneous meetings, disappear, creating a sense of deficiency. Stages of experiencing the void. The void is not immediate but unfolds in stages. Stage 1. Denial and self-reassurance. The individual may downplay the impact, filling the void with work, friends, or other activities, believing the absence is temporary. Stage 2. Acknowledging the emptiness. The absence becomes undeniable. Shared experiences, like watching a film or listening to a song, trigger feelings of longing. They may check the absent person's social media. Stage 3. Attempts to fill the void. They may seek replacements, but these efforts often fail, as no one replicates the familiar connection. Those with strong egos may feign happiness, masking inner emptiness. Stage 4. Acceptance and longing for reconciliation. The void intensifies, prompting attempts to reconnect, messages, calls, or attention-seeking behaviors. Genuine appreciation may lead to proactive efforts to repair the relationship, factors intensifying the pain. Complete silence, unresponsiveness amplifies feelings of abandonment. Continued happiness. The absent person's happiness and new social interactions intensify the sense of loss. Inability to find a replacement. The failure to find a comparable connection underscores the absent person's significance. Self-improvement, personal growth, improved appearance, and success exacerbate regret over the lost connection, maximizing the impact of the void to profoundly impact the other person. Employ these strategies: complete disappearance, avoid contact, preventing easy access, avoid displays of distress, project composure, even improvement, personal growth, focus on self-improvement, creating a sense of regret, cultivate curiosity, maintain an air of mystery, fueling their desire to know more. 3. Predominant emotions experienced following the shock of rejection. Rejection can manifest in various contexts: romantic relationships, professional endeavors, friendships, or even significant life opportunities. Confronting rejection elicits a complex spectrum of emotional responses, ranging from anger and grief to acceptance and recovery. The following outlines the predominant emotional stages individuals typically experience following the shock of rejection. Shock and disbelief. The initial reaction to rejection is often a state of shock. Individuals may struggle to accept the reality of the situation, questioning the occurrence itself. Self-doubt and disbelief are common, manifesting as internal dialogues such as, "Did this really happen? There must be a misunderstanding," or "Why me?" The brain employs denial as a defense mechanism to mitigate immediate emotional pain. Behavioral manifestations include a temporary inability to articulate thoughts, a search for rational explanations, and a persistent hope for misinterpretation or temporary setbacks. Intense pain and hurt. As the reality of rejection sets in, profound emotional pain emerges. This pain stems from disappointment, loss, and a diminished sense of self-worth. The inherent human need for validation and acceptance is profoundly challenged, leading to feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness. Behavioral indicators include physical manifestations of emotional distress, such as a heavy heart, decreased motivation, and withdrawal from daily activities. Rumination on the rejection event, accompanied by sadness, loneliness, and potential weeping, is also common. Anger and resentment. Following the initial pain, anger may surface. This anger can be directed inward: "Why was I so foolish?" Outward toward the rejecting party: "How could they treat me this way?" Or toward circumstances: "I'm so unlucky." This anger can manifest in impulsive behaviors, including accusatory messages, disparaging remarks, or other negative actions. Behavioral manifestations include feelings of bitterness, a desire for retribution, increased irritability, and the potential for aggressive online postings or indirect criticisms. Self-doubt and diminished self-esteem. As anger subsides, self-criticism often intensifies. Individuals may question their personal attributes, believing themselves to be insufficiently attractive, intelligent, or worthy of acceptance. This stage presents a significant risk, potentially leading to prolonged self-doubt and negatively impacting self-esteem. Behavioral indicators include repetitive negative self-evaluation, unfavorable comparisons with others, decreased confidence in social interactions, and avoidance of new opportunities due to fear of further rejection. Seeking justification or pleading for reconsideration. Some individuals struggle to accept rejection, attempting to persuade the rejecting party to reverse their decision. This may involve persistent messaging, calls, or attempts at face-to-face reconciliation. Such actions often stem from a fear of abandonment or loss of something deemed valuable. Behavioral manifestations include lengthy explanatory or apologetic messages, promises of self-improvement to influence the decision, and an obsessive focus on regaining acceptance. Acceptance and letting go. This stage marks the genuine acceptance of rejection as an inherent part of life. Individuals cease attempts to influence the other party's decision. Rather than dwelling on the pain, they focus on moving forward and self-improvement. Behavioral indicators include detachment from the other party's opinions, the adoption of a more positive outlook, and a redirection of focus toward personal pursuits, hobbies, or new relationships. Post-rejection growth and development. Overcoming rejection can foster resilience and increased self-confidence. Individuals recognize rejection not as an endpoint but as a learning opportunity. Many individuals emerge from this experience with enhanced personal growth and improved professional or personal lives. Behavioral indicators include a diminished fear of future rejection, the utilization of past experiences to improve future relationships or professional endeavors, and a sense of gratitude for the valuable lessons learned. 4. Self-reflection. When faced with rejection or psychological shock, individuals tend to engage in self-questioning, a process of introspection involving inquiries about oneself, the reasons behind the event, and even one's self-worth. While this is a natural psychological response, unchecked self-questioning can lead to self-doubt, insecurity, and hinder personal growth. The following are key aspects of this self-interrogation. Searching for the cause of rejection. Following rejection, a primary response is to understand why it occurred. Individuals tend to ask, why did they reject me? What did I do wrong? Am I not good enough? While this search can yield valuable lessons, it can also trap individuals in negative thought patterns. Manifestations include ruminating on past events, meticulously analyzing interactions to identify causative factors, and seeking external validation through opinions from others. Positive outcomes include gaining insights for self-improvement, however. Negative consequences include self-recrimination, feelings of inadequacy, and the perpetuation of negative self-perception. Social comparison. Rejection often triggers social comparison, particularly with those who have achieved what the individual desires. Questions such as, what does that person have that I lack? And, where do I fall short? Become prevalent. This comparison can significantly diminish self-esteem and foster feelings of inferiority. Manifestations include excessive focus on the successful individual, envy, sadness at others' achievements, and a decline in self-confidence. While potentially motivating self-improvement, the predominant negative impact is the fostering of feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness. Self-blame or blaming others. When a satisfactory explanation remains elusive, individuals may resort to assigning blame, either to themselves or to the rejecting party. Self-blame can lead to feelings of incompetence and failure, while blaming others can result in resentment, anger, and negative rumination. Manifestations include self-deprecating thoughts, I was foolish, I shouldn't have done that, or accusatory thoughts towards others. That person was unreasonable, they didn't appreciate me. Prolonged preoccupation with the event is also common. While self-blame can, in certain contexts, facilitate learning from mistakes, the primary negative consequence is prolonged resentment or guilt. Doubt in self-worth. A critical consequence of self-questioning is the erosion of self-worth, leading to doubts about one's value, capabilities, and purpose. Individuals may question their worthiness of love or their ability to achieve success. This profoundly negative state can result in demotivation, depression, and anxiety. Manifestations include loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities, social withdrawal, and avoidance of new opportunities due to fear of further rejection. While introspection can lead to strategies for self-improvement, the primary negative outcome is a loss of direction and self-belief. Extreme attempts at self-transformation. Feeling inadequate. Some individuals attempt radical self-transformation to appease others or avoid future rejection. However, changes driven by external pressure rather than genuine desire can create significant mental imbalance. Manifestations include abrupt changes in appearance or lifestyle, attempts to project a different persona, and feelings of disorientation due to a loss of authenticity. While positive change can contribute to personal growth, the primary negative consequence is the potential loss of personal identity. Finding meaning in rejection. After navigating negative emotions, some individuals begin to reframe the experience positively. They may ask, was this a learning opportunity? Could this rejection contribute to my growth? This crucial step facilitates overcoming the shock and moving forward. Manifestations include viewing rejection as a catalyst for self-improvement, focusing on positive aspects, and rebuilding confidence and motivation. The primary positive outcome is enhanced maturity and a more balanced perspective. Negative consequences are absent when approached constructively. 5. I am determined to pursue you. When individuals experience rejection or the loss of connection with a significant person, they often enter a distinct psychological state characterized by a fervent desire to pursue and regain that person's attention. This is a natural response stemming from inherent needs for connection, a fear of loss, and a fundamental need for validation. However, unchecked, this yearning can manifest in unhealthy behaviors, negatively impacting both parties involved. The following sections detail crucial aspects of this pursuit following rejection or loss. The instinct to reclaim what is lost. Humans tend to overvalue what they cannot have or have lost. Rejection can trigger a powerful urge to prove one's worth or attempt to alter the outcome. This reaction is often emotionally driven, not always rooted in rational thought. Manifestations include regret and a desire to reconnect. Thoughts such as, if I try harder, they might change their mind. Frequent messaging or contact despite a lack of positive response. Positive impacts include potential motivation for self-improvement in making a better impression. Negative impacts include overwhelming the other person and causing self-harm through excessive pursuit. The psychological reactance effect. When something is forbidden or becomes difficult to obtain, the desire for it intensifies. Rejection can amplify the pursuit, driven not only by affection but also by wounded ego. This is particularly true in romantic relationships or professional settings where an individual may feel challenged. Manifestations include a compulsion to prove one's value, increased efforts to impress or change the other person's mind, and excessive rumination about the other person. Positive impacts include potential development of perseverance, provided it doesn't become obsessive. Negative impacts include loss of objectivity and excessive energy expenditure on an unchangeable situation. Idealization of the other party. The absence of something often leads to its idealization. An individual may focus solely on the other person's positive attributes, overlooking flaws. This enhances the desire to pursue, perceiving it as a rare opportunity. Manifestations include remembering only positive memories, forgetting past disagreements or problems, and believing no one else could be as good. Positive impacts include recognizing the value of a relationship and appreciating it more. Negative impacts include becoming trapped in the past and failing to embrace new opportunities. Excessive chasing behavior. Following rejection, some individuals excessively attempt to change the other person's decision. This can lead to overbearing behavior, counterproductive to the desired outcome. If the other person feels pressured, they may withdraw or become even more resistant. Manifestations include incessant messaging without response, contrived attempts to encounter the other person, and excessive displays of affection despite a lack of reciprocation. Positive impacts include the potential for rebuilding connection naturally if appropriate distance is maintained. Negative impacts include driving the other person further away through excessive clinginess. Self-improvement for acceptance after rejection. Some individuals choose self-improvement to become a better version of themselves. This can be positive if driven by intrinsic motivation, but negative if the changes are solely to please the other person. Manifestations include increased attention to appearance and lifestyle to impress, acquiring new skills or personal development, and showcasing success or attractiveness to gain attention. Positive impacts include personal growth and development. Negative impacts include loss of personal identity and feelings of inadequacy. Acceptance and letting go. When pursuit yields no results, individuals may learn to let go. This represents maturity, allowing for redefined desires and a greater focus on self. Manifestations include reduced interest in the other person, seeking new relationships or opportunities, and accepting rejection as a part of life. Positive impacts include personal growth, self-love, and the pursuit of more suitable values. Negative impacts are absent if executed appropriately. 6. Torn between relief and regret. Following a significant rejection or loss, individuals often experience a complex interplay of relief and regret. This psychological state is characterized by a simultaneous feeling of liberation and remorse, a duality where a sense of release coexists with lingering sorrow over what transpired. This internal conflict can persist for an extended period, particularly when strong emotional attachments or unrealized expectations remain. Relief. Escaping the pressure, the experience of relief, following internal struggle, arises from the release of a fruitless pursuit or unproductive relationship. This feeling stems from no longer chasing an unattainable goal, eliminating wasted effort and mental anguish. It signifies a regaining of personal control over one's life and emotions. Manifestations include increased comfort levels, reduced stress and obsessive thoughts about the past, diminished preoccupation with the other person, and a renewed enjoyment of personal life. The realization that rejection may have been beneficial, preventing an unsuitable relationship or situation, further contributes to this sense of relief. Positive impacts include facilitating forward momentum, enabling the pursuit of new opportunities, and fostering self-focus. Conversely, if relief stems from avoidance rather than genuine emotional processing, it can lead to subsequent feelings of emptiness. Regret, the pain of retrospection. Despite experiencing relief, regret over past events may persist. Self-recrimination and the belief that alternative actions could have altered the outcome are common. This feeling is often triggered by cherished memories or the realization of a significant loss. Manifestations include rumination on the past, questioning past decisions. What if I had done things differently? Revisiting old messages, photographs, and shared memories, and engaging in self-blame or remorse over past choices. Positive aspects include the potential for learning from past experiences and applying those lessons to future endeavors. However, excessive dwelling on regret can lead to stagnation, preventing progress and hindering the ability to move forward. The internal tug-of-war, conflicting emotions, the experience of relief and regret can alternate, creating a cyclical pattern common in the aftermath of loss, particularly in romantic relationships or significant life opportunities. Uncertainty regarding the correctness of past decisions fuels this internal conflict. This may manifest as fluctuating emotional states, feeling at ease in the morning, yet consumed by regret in the evening. The individual may simultaneously resolve to move on while covertly monitoring the other person or harboring hopes for renewed opportunity. This internal dissonance creates a sense of being trapped between opposing emotional currents. While managing these conflicting emotions can lead to eventual equilibrium, failure to resolve this internal conflict can result in significant emotional exhaustion. Factors intensifying the internal conflict. Several factors can exacerbate the intensity of the conflict between relief and regret. Ambiguous relationship closure, continued contact or mixed signals can prolong emotional turmoil. External influences, advice from friends, social media exposure, or chance encounters with reminders of the past can trigger emotional fluctuations. Duration of the relationship. Lengthier relationships often lead to more intense feelings of conflict and fear of loneliness. The apprehension of not finding a suitable replacement can intensify regret. Overcoming the internal conflict. Successfully navigating this emotional terrain requires several key strategies. Acceptance of the reality of both relief and regret as normal emotional responses. A shift in focus towards self-improvement and exploration of new interests. Establishing clear boundaries by limiting or eliminating contact with the other person. Maintaining a forward-looking perspective. Recognizing that the closure of one opportunity may open doors to better prospects, and utilizing journaling or confiding in trusted individuals to process and alleviate emotional burdens. 7. Attempting to manipulate is unacceptable. When an individual experiences rejection or the loss of a significant relationship, they may enter a state of emotional instability. While some individuals choose acceptance and move forward, others may resort to manipulative tactics to alter the outcome to their advantage. Such manipulation stems from various sources, including the fear of loss, wounded self-esteem, or a deep-seated desire for control. These individuals may unconsciously or deliberately employ psychological strategies to induce guilt, change decisions, or force a reconciliation. Motivations behind manipulation. Individuals engaging in manipulative behaviors are often driven by the following: denial of reality, an unwillingness to accept the termination of the relationship, leading to attempts to reverse the situation. Sense of powerlessness. Rejection creates a loss of control, and manipulation becomes a means of regaining agency. Fear of loneliness. The desire to avoid the emotional void of solitude, rather than a genuine yearning for the relationship itself. Desire for revenge. A refusal to accept defeat, leading to attempts to inflict emotional pain or regret on the other party. Flawed belief system. A misguided belief that persistent effort, regardless of fairness or ethical considerations, will ultimately change the other person's mind. Common manipulation tactics. Manipulative individuals utilize a range of tactics to influence the emotions of their target. Inducing guilt. This involves employing statements designed to evoke feelings of responsibility and culpability. Such as, "I did everything for you. And this is how you repay me? Do you know how much pain you've caused me? If you leave, I don't know if I can go on living." Objective. To create psychological pressure, making it difficult for the target to make a definitive decision. Impact. Empathetic individuals or those prone to guilt may be swayed. But this reconciliation lacks genuine affection. Feigning change to secure reconciliation. After rejection, promises of self-improvement are offered to encourage reconsideration. "I'll change. I'll be better. Please give me another chance. I realize my mistakes. If you come back, I'll never hurt you again." Objective. To exploit the target's compassion and foster belief in a transformed future. Impact. Unless the change is genuine and internally driven, the situation is likely to revert to its previous state upon reconciliation. Simulated disinterest, no contact. A tactic of complete silence to stimulate curiosity and anxiety. The manipulator disappears, ceases communication, and avoids social media presence, leaving the target questioning their importance. Upon renewed contact from the target, they maintain a detached demeanor to project an aura of mystery and power. Objective. To create a sense of loss and prompt the target to initiate reconciliation. Impact. While effective on individuals with strong feelings, those with emotional resilience will recognize this as a manipulative tactic. Eliciting jealousy. This involves publicly displaying happiness with others, hinting at new relationships, or posting images suggesting a fulfilling social life. Statements like, "I've met someone wonderful. She truly understands me," or ambiguous social media posts designed to provoke insecurity, are common. Objective. To trigger jealousy and regret in the target for ending the relationship. Impact. While potentially effective on individuals with lingering feelings, it can backfire if the target recognizes the manipulative intent, employing negative emotions, threats, and self-harm in extreme cases. Threats are used to coerce compliance. "If you leave me, I won't live. I'll do something drastic if you don't come back." Objective. To instill a sense of overwhelming responsibility and fear, forcing the target to remain in the relationship. Impact. This is a dangerous and abusive form of manipulation, potentially trapping the target in an unhealthy and potentially harmful dynamic. Identifying and addressing manipulation. Early recognition. Maintain vigilance if someone consistently uses emotions to control you. Healthy relationships are not built on psychological pressure. Establishing boundaries. Avoid being drawn into emotional games. Clearly communicate your decisions. Maintaining resolve. If you've decided to end the relationship, don't be swayed by empty promises or manipulative tactics. Focusing on actions, not words. If someone promises change, assess their actions, not just their words. Seeking support. If you feel pressured or anxious, seek guidance from trusted friends, family, or mental health professionals. 8. The weight of silence. When a relationship ends or someone experiences rejection, the ensuing silence can impose a significant psychological burden. This is not merely the absence of verbal or textual communication, but also the emotional void it creates. Silence evokes a range of feelings: anxiety, regret, hurt, hope, or even despair. It might be a strategy to prompt reconsideration, or it could signal an irreversible conclusion. The weight of silence stems from its inherent ambiguity, causing discomfort and distress. Several factors contribute to this burden. Lack of clear confirmation. The silence following a relationship's end leaves individuals in a state of uncertainty, unsure of the situation's status. This ambiguity fuels a cycle of unanswered questions, fostering anxiety and unease. Feelings of abandonment. Silence can evoke feelings of insignificance, neglect, or abandonment. The sudden cessation of communication from someone who previously showed care creates a profound emptiness, potentially leading to feelings of worthlessness. This can cause deep emotional wounds, diminishing self-esteem and potentially leading to depression or apathy. Obsession with the past. In the absence of communication, the mind tends to dwell on past memories, prompting self-questioning and regret. This can trap individuals in a cycle of self-recrimination, hindering their ability to move forward. Fleeting hope. Silence doesn't always signify an end, it can generate a fragile hope for future change. This unfounded hope can lead to unproductive waiting, wasting time and emotional energy. Loss of control. Communication provides insight into another person's thoughts and feelings. Silence removes this control, creating uncertainty and anxiety, as the human mind dislikes ambiguity. Different types of silence convey distinct messages. Silence to forget. No contact. This involves completely cutting off contact to facilitate emotional detachment and healing. While painful, it's often the most effective method for moving on after a definitive relationship end. Silence for manipulation. Controlled silence. This deliberate silence aims to induce anxiety and prompt the other party to re-engage. It's a manipulative tactic that can damage trust if discovered. Silence due to indecision. Uncertainty about one's feelings can lead to silence, stemming from a desire to avoid causing hurt while unsure how to proceed. This prolonged silence can be exhausting for both parties. Addressing silence effectively requires identifying the type of silence. If it's silence to forget, respect the decision and focus on letting go. If it's manipulative, recognize the tactic and avoid being drawn in avoiding self-blame. Another person's silence isn't always a reflection of personal failings. It may reflect their own emotional processing, focusing on self-improvement and moving forward, instead of waiting for a response. Invest time in self-care and personal growth, maintaining emotional control. While silence can be distressing, it shouldn't define self-worth. Remember, someone genuinely wanting you in their life will find a way to communicate. 9. The irreversible loss of friendship. The agonizing fear of permanent loss is a pervasive emotion in any significant relationship, romantic, platonic, or otherwise. The realization of irretrievable separation can trigger intense feelings of panic, grief, regret, and anxiety. This fear transcends simple loss. It encompasses a profound sense of helplessness. As outcomes are not always within our control, it can drive individuals to desperate, impulsive actions, clinging to fading hope or succumbing to prolonged self-recrimination and suffering. Why do humans fear the permanent loss of another person? The nature of emotional attachment. Humans are inherently social creatures. We build a sense of security, familiarity, and emotional dependence within our relationships. Relationship dissolution or the departure of a significant other is perceived by the brain as a threat, triggering a fear response akin to that experienced during existential danger. Impact. This fear often manifests as clinging, pleading, or desperate attempts to retain the other person. In some cases, it escalates into obsessive behaviors, stalking, or other negative actions stemming from an inability to accept the loss. Feelings of emptiness and loss. The departure of a person entails more than just their physical absence. It removes shared routines, memories, and emotions. For example, the absence of a daily morning text message leaves a void in one's routine. Shared habits become painful reminders of the loss. Impact. This can lead to feelings of disorientation, a lack of purpose, and potentially mild depression or a loss of motivation. Regret and remorse. A significant contributor to the fear of permanent loss is regret. I wish I had behaved better. I was too insensitive. Why didn't I appreciate them while I had the chance? Impact. This can result in prolonged self-blame, impacting self-esteem and mental well-being. Attempts at reconciliation may be made, but often exacerbate the situation. Fear of losing a part of oneself. Individuals who significantly impact our lives become integral to both our lives and our sense of self. Their departure can feel like a loss of identity, leaving one unsure how to proceed. For example, the loss of a confidant can leave one feeling directionless. The loss of someone who made one feel special can trigger self-doubt. Impact. This can result in disorientation, attempts to fill the void through new relationships or negative behaviors, and a potential loss of self as one tries to become what the other person wanted. Manifestations of the fear of permanent loss. Obsession and stalking. This includes constant checking of social media, revisiting old messages, and monitoring the other person's activities. Indirect attempts at contact, such as inquiring through mutual friends or creating chance encounters, are common. Risk. Unchecked, this can lead to unhealthy obsessive behavior and alienate the other person. Desperate attempts to reconnect. This involves incessant messaging, hoping for a response despite a lack of positive signals, making promises to change, and pleading for a final chance. Risk. This can erode self-respect and create a negative impression on the other person. Attempts to elicit a reaction. This includes feigning happiness on social media to provoke jealousy, creating drama, or employing other attention-seeking tactics. Risk. This is counterproductive and may push the other person further away. Overcoming the fear of permanent loss. Accept reality. No one is permanent in our lives. People come and go for various reasons. Loss does not equate to total devastation, it signifies a new chapter. Focus on self-development. Learn to live independently. Invest time in personal growth and find joy in new pursuits. Set boundaries. Refrain from contacting, monitoring, or creating situations to encounter the other person. Learn to let go rather than control. Understand, if someone truly wants to stay, they will. Do not force someone to remain if they choose to leave. If there is a connection, they will return, otherwise, a new path will emerge. 10. Understanding emotional independence. Emotional independence is the ability to control and manage one's emotions without excessive reliance on others. This does not imply a lack of need for others, but rather, a refusal to allow one's happiness, mood, and self-esteem to be entirely dictated by external factors. Experiencing the shock of rejection or the loss of a significant relationship can reveal a previously unrecognized level of emotional dependence. This is where the awareness of emotional independence begins, the understanding that one's happiness should not be held hostage by another. The importance of emotional independence. Mitigating loss. Excessive emotional dependence on another person leads to devastating feelings of collapse, disorientation, and prolonged suffering upon their departure. Emotional independence, however, allows for sadness without the experience of total loss. For example, basing one's entire happiness on a relationship results in a sense of meaninglessness upon its termination. Conversely, possessing alternative sources of happiness, friends, hobbies, career, enables continued life without complete collapse. Enhanced decision-making. Emotional dependence can lead to decisions driven by fear of loss or a desire to please others. This can result in excessive self-sacrifice without commensurate appreciation and the acceptance of unsuitable situations to avoid relationship loss. For example, an emotionally independent individual would not tolerate a toxic relationship, recognizing their inherent worth and refusing to compromise self-respect to maintain a connection. Conversely, an emotionally dependent individual might cling to a detrimental relationship despite its negative impact. Increased attractiveness. Emotionally independent individuals often exude a powerful allure due to their self-confidence, lack of need for external validation, and avoidance of controlling behaviors. They possess fulfilling lives, thereby attracting others. For example, an emotionally independent person would not incessantly text to check on a partner, as they do not require constant attention for security. Conversely, an emotionally dependent person might exhibit jealousy, control, or excessive anxiety without consistent reassurance. Indicators of emotional independence: self-generated happiness, possessing personal hobbies, goals, and a sense of purpose independent of others. Unwavering self-esteem, experiencing sadness from mistreatment without compromising self-worth. Internal validation, not relying on social media likes or external attention for self-importance. Defined boundaries, knowing when to say no and preventing emotional exploitation. Comfortable solitude, enjoying alone time without feelings of loneliness. Cultivating emotional independence, prioritizing self-love, prioritizing personal desires over the desires of others. Engaging in self-pleasing activities such as reading, exercise, or solo travel. Independent life, developing personal hobbies, goals, and passions. Avoiding the centering of one's life around a single relationship. Managing negative emotions, developing coping mechanisms for sadness without seeking external solace. Utilizing journaling, meditation, exercise, or other healthy emotional outlets. Rejecting external validation, recognizing inherent self-worth without needing external affirmation of beauty. Talent, or exceptionalism, refusing to allow others to dictate one's happiness. Absence does not equate to oblivion. In their hearts, you may remain a significant question, a lingering regret, or even the most valuable lesson they have ever learned. Which emotion do you believe to be the most potent? Share your perspective in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe for future content.